All right, good afternoon. Welcome back to another video showing you this time how to do activity 2.1.4, document the assembly. The learning goals for this one are to identify necessary and appropriate views to fully detail an assembly and to generate an annotated assembly drawing of components and details of an assembly. So, you know, in our drawing, we're trying to get so good now that we can create a drawing of an assembly, and if I pass it off to a partner, they should be able to not only produce the parts, but they should also be able to put them back together. So what we're going to do for this one, okay, is it asks us, whoops, let me get my zoom here, right? It asks us, we're going to eventually just make one of these, to go to our blocks from the previous activity. So in activity 2.1.3, you needed to have constructed a simple assembly of 3 blocks, okay? So in here, in my part studio, what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm just gonna put together, 3 of these blocks, all right? So maybe I'll go here with that one, and I'll fasten this here, and of course if I get interfering geometry, I can just flip the primary axis, and I'm good. Now I have my simple assembly. These other 3 pieces, I do not want them appearing in my drawing, so I'm going to select all 3 of them and delete them. Okay, so now I'm just left with my simple assembly. The first step that it asks you to do, it says create a multi-view of the assembly, add any necessary annotations and dimensions to describe the assembly details. Now it tells me I do not need to dimension specific parts, right? I don't need to tell it the length, width or height of this cube, or the radius of this arch, or you know, any details about my triangle. All right. So what I'm gonna do is go to my drawing. Let me create a new drawing because this one's already done. I'm going to create a drawing, and I'm going to use this ANSI B inch. If you don't see that popping up in your recently opened, go to OnShape, go to ANSI B inch, and hit OK. Now, when you load into this, right, it wants to start inserting a view. It's going to default to a part studio. We do not want that. We want to go to our assembly. Okay, I want my assembly in here, and it's going to create a front view. Now, the issue with this is that in my assembly, if I go to the front plane, this is what OnShape is defaulting as my front view. This doesn't look very descriptive to me, okay? So I might choose the bottom view instead to be more descriptive, okay? So I'm gonna go back to my drawing, and I'm going to change this to bottom. I'm going to show my bottom view. Okay, because that gives me a little bit more detail. And I'll show a side view so that we can tell that this rectangle is actually a triangle. And the only other thing that I want to insert is an isometric view. An isometric view, just like this. So that's the first step, right? Create the multi-view of the assembly. And I need to add dimensions. So the only dimension I really need to add, well, I need to know how far into this shape does this piece set. Everything else, the lengths of the individual objects, individual parts, the heights, can all be determined based off of the dimensions of the individual parts. So I don't need to add any of that. That's all I need to add for this. Go on to my next step. I need to create an exploded view. An exploded view is what we see in this red box, okay? Create the exploded view, and it shows basically how these parts go together. So I'm going to come out to my assembly, and I'm going to create an exploded view by clicking on the tab over at the side. And what I can do, let me delete that. What it tells you is that exploded views help you visualize components, how they fit together in an assembly by moving instances from their mated position. So I'm going to add an exploded view. Notice up here it says editing explode 1. It tells me I select a component here and then drag or rotate them using this triad manipulator. That's this thing here, right? So I might want to bring this thing out. Excuse me. Okay. Right, to show that it slides on to the top of this position. I'll hit enter to accept that. Then maybe I want to show that it's coming up. I'll hit enter. And this explode line just shows that the path it would take in order to be put where it needs to be going. My next step, I'll take this and I'll push it out. And I'm not really caring about the distance here, okay? But I have my explode. So this is what my exploded view looks like, right? This is telling me I have to take my triangular piece and pull it down then over, and my cubic piece just pops onto the side there. I can just hit done on this. Notice how everything snaps back together, and I have my explode steps. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my drawing. When I do that, I can hit insert. I'm going to hit isometric. And where it says explode / position, I'm going to choose explode 1. Here, let me see. Something didn't update right. That might happen. If this is highlighted in orange, that's telling me that I need to update my drawing, right? It's failed to resolve my exploded view. That's because I had a previous exploded view. If you ever see that, it's telling me that you need to update your drawing to match your workspace. Now if I go here, and I choose isometric and explode, I see that I have my explode view, how it was in this tab, how it appears here. So that's my explode view. All right, so what do I need to do next? Well, let's keep following. I have to add these balloon annotations. Balloon annotations are used to quickly identify a part. So what am I going to do? I'm going to grab up here this call out, right? OnShape calls them call outs. I'm going to select that. I'm just going to click where I want my call out to start and drag it where I want it to end and click again. Click. Oops. Delete this one. Click my call out. Why is this not working now? Let me update my drawing. Let me see if that was the issue that we had. Click my call out. There's my line. We can make this item number 1. Hit check. Come into here, double click this. Change this label to 1. Okay. This will be my part 1. Well, I just want to label these in sequential order. This will be part number 2. I'll double click here. Delete that, put part number 2. Check. Add my last call out. Make that item number 3. This one's giving me trouble for some reason. There we go. Number 3. Change this to a 3. Now I have my balloon annotations just like they have in here. All right, 1, 2, and 3. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this table. Okay. I'm going to add my parts list. And here's everything I need with my parts list. I need an item that'll correspond to the call out. I need a quantity. I need a part number for this. I'm just going to label them as the shape that it is. The description we can leave blank, and then a material. So I need to come up here. I'm going to add my table. Now, if I count out, this has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and a title, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So I need 4 rows, I need 5 columns, and I need a title. And it generates my table, which I can click and place. I hit check, and I immediately can start editing it. I'll call this parts list. I will label this item number. Quantity, QTY is quantity, how many do I have? Part number. Description, which I'm just going to leave blank. And material. So my item number is 1, 2, and 3. I only have one of each of these. Part number for part number 1, I can just label that cube. For part number 2, I'll call that one an arch. For part number 3, I'll label it as wedge, right? Because it's this triangular piece. The material, these are all made of the same birch wood. Birch is a type of wood. So I'll just accept that as it is. This gives me a parts list so that I can read this and I know what each one of these parts are. The other thing that I need to add is a note, right? Gives me a note about tolerances. Notice this bilateral tolerance here, right? We already have that in this. We just have to edit. We just have to put the number in, okay? So we're not worried about that. But a note might tell us, hey, how are these things adhered, right? So I might just put all pieces adhered with wood glue, okay? And I'll accept that. And what you're going to notice is that, obviously this note's like running into each other. If you just drag this piece over with your cursor, it's going to come out just like that, just how we want it. My tolerances, my bilateral, if I have 2 decimal places, I'll put that as 0.01. If I have 3, I'll put that as 0.001. And if I have 4, I'll put it as 0.0001, right? This doesn't really matter for us right now. It would matter if we were trying to be very specific with this. But just to get into practice with editing our title block, that's how it should look, right? And I could even add into my title, right? Construction cube assembly, right? That's what this is called, a construction cube assembly for activity 2.1.4. Okay. I'll leave it like that, right? And I might even put down GMSCI for my company, okay? Just getting used to writing my title block. So that is all you need to do for this. That's how you make an exploded view, right? That's how you add an exploded view into your drawing. That's how you make a table for a parts list. That's how you make a note, edit your title block. What you are responsible for doing is both this piece here, right? And we also need, we also need from yesterday, what you are going to do is make a new assembly drawing of this here, the selfie stick. So this is an exploded view of the selfie stick. You need to recreate this and make an assembly drawing, right, which should include the multi-view, the dimensions, an exploded pictorial, the balloons, the callouts, a part list, and any other important notes that are critical to the assembly process. I know that this references project 1.3.7, but we did not do that. So for steps 7 and 8, you are going to do this. Okay, I do not have a video of it. That is going to be up to you to make the exploded view and make a drawing, an assembly drawing of this piece here. I hope this video helps. If you're ever confused about how to make an exploded view drawing, follow the steps that I outlined in here, and have a great day.